right. Welcome back to another episode of How I Met Your Mortgage. As always, I'm your host, Adam Smith with Just the Tips Coaching. And with me today is a guest that we've had on the show a good number of times. Somebody we just adore and respect and have nothing but mad love for. In fact, maybe we should change the name of the show to the D.C Terry Show. So welcome back, D.C Terry Sr. And D.C., before we get too deep into the woods on what we want to talk about today, I know I promised that I wouldn't crack any old jokes about us when we were live to our audience, but maybe it's time to drop the senior. No, I'm kidding. So how are you, D.C.? How are things in your neck of the woods? And we should probably give our audience a little bit of background, who you are, where you are, those kinds of things. Probably somewhere that it's miserable, hot and humid today.
I'm doing good, Adam. It's always great to be with you. And I guess maybe it could be time to drop the senior since I already look like the senior.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Oh, it's absolutely just assumed.
but I'm in the Columbia, South Carolina area. Been here for, probably 30 years now.
And a lot of your life before that was in the Northeast, if memory serves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So
and your boots on the ground originating mortgages
I am
in Columbia, South Carolina. Cool part of the world. I'm sure we've talked about the fact that I spend a lot of time there. I have a little house in Surfside Beach, South Carolina. Although, man, kudos to all of you that do that in the summer, because that heat and humidity really, I can't do it. I know that people always say get used to it, but it takes more than a few weeks. I can promise you that.
definitely so. More than a few weeks. But I used to think it was very, very hot here until I was sent to Saudi the first time around. And so when you're over there and it's a good day is 117, and sometimes that could be dry or sometimes it could be humid. You come back here and it changes how you see things. Like, yeah, it's hot, but it's not that hot.
It's a little more tolerant, although it does seem like it's changing. So no question about it. Things are definitely unique all over the globe that way. I see Tara chiming in about watching with us. Hi, Tara. I'm sure DC loves that.
Yeah, my beautiful.
So I don't want to go too far into the Wayback Machine, but I do think it's important that our audience knows that you've kind of had this niche of sorts for a long, long time, all the time I've known you, which is getting to be a long, long time. And it's really unique in comparison to a lot of what goes on in the mortgage space. And I know that the vast majority of it is still retail, and the vast majority of it is still cubicle farm, and the vast majority of it is still red stamp, green stamp. Yeah, we can get you a loan. No, we can't get you a loan. And it's definitely not your MO, and ours either. We've kind of developed a reputation of, if Adam can't get it done, it can't get done. And you've got a very similar mantra that way.
Yes.
But I think one of the very unique things about your business versus what goes on in a lot of mortgage lending is that you're the guy that will exhaust the possibilities. You will dig and work and grind and crank and crunch to get people into homes. And a big result of that, of course, is that there are so many homeowners out there that are homeowners as a result of the work you've done that never for a minute believed they could be.
That's right.
I mean, that's a big part of your client base is people who never thought they could be homeowners. And guess what? They sure as hell are. And again, I think it's really I think it speaks volumes about the fact that you're willing to put in the work, that you're willing to pull the curtain back, that you're willing to dig deeper, that you're willing to nurse and mend and really help people along the way, because you have this very deep-seated belief, which I think, if memory serves, came from your mother, that it's part of the American dream that homeownership is a really big fucking deal, and that you want to see as many people get that who don't think they can before your time is done.
Absolutely. And it's amazing how many people thought that they couldn't do it, and amazing how many people had already quit, and we had to talk them into, giving it another try. They thought that they were giving us a shot, but in all actuality, they were just allowing us to help them do something that we know could happen, which is get approved. And coming from that background of, you know, being raised by a single mother, and her actually being able to, our first home, which was a brick home, it burned down. And some years later, well, actually, let me back up. That one burned down, and then she couldn't rebuild that one, so we got a trailer put on that spot. And I'm just a young kid at this time. And years later, that burned down. So we went through the process of losing everything twice. And for me at a young age, and for her as a single mother, that had to be hard, to do. But at the same time, she didn't stop. Of course, we had to move around from that point, and that's when I knew what it was like to stay in an apartment, knew what it was like to stay with people. And then she finally got herself into a position that she could actually own again. And when I really look at that and I see how many people that have been underserved, and a lot of times people think underserved just means a color. It's not. Underserved are people who have actually been underserved. And sometimes they look different and they come from different places for different reasons. That's what draws me to that, the underdog, to really help them get to where I know that they can be, which is in a position to own a piece of America.
That's really cool stuff. Let me ask you this, because I get it. It's going to be a slightly different population in Colorado than in South Carolina, but it obviously exists everywhere, coast to coast, around the globe. And one of the things that we've really focused on with our coaching clients and building a repeat and referral business is to be very cognizant of what you attract. There are plenty of people out there that are buying homes, that are going to buy homes, or are going to refinance homes, whatever the case may be, where they're going to be in need of services like what you and I offer. And there's a really gross sense of entitlement. And you can feel that through some of the process with some people. Like, I still have people tell me, no, the underwriter doesn't need that. There's a borrower. Well, yeah, they do. And there's a reason they're asking for it. And it's not negotiable. It's not a matter of, hey, we don't need your bank statements. It's a must. They're going to be in the file. It is what it is. If you're embarrassed about the money you're spending at Taco Bell, don't be. That's not what they're looking at. It's not what they're looking for, whatever the case may be. And when we're doing this and we're working hard and we're building a repeat and referral business, and we want to make sure that the people we're doing this great work for are referring people to us, we know from a psychological standpoint that people are the direct result of the people they spend the most time with. Undeniable. So we're starting to get into a range here where that discussion continues to, our past clients are going to refer people that are like them.
Mm-hmm.
So we're certainly building a business that's intrinsically rewarding. The mental and psychological satisfaction out of helping people get into homes when they didn't think they could. And I can see my team working on one today, and it's fairly, they've been amazing. The borrowers have been amazing. Their agent has been amazing. It has been an absolutely wonderful transaction to watch my team go through. And these are certainly people that didn't think they were going to be homeowners. And it's a first-time home buyer, and all the things that you would assume go along with that, whether it's down payment assistance, seller concessions, all these things. They're not buying $1 million home. They're not borrowing an exorbitant amount of money. It's not what I would consider a ridiculously profitable mortgage by any stretch, but here's the difference. We've got to be able to look at this not only with that intrinsic reward, but we've got to be able to look at this from a perspective of time and frustration. You guys have got to put a price on your brain damage.
Mhm.
And here's the thing I'm noticing, and it took me a while, and it's been since the last time you were on the show. I received some award from one of these investors for being a top down payment assistance lender broker. And I was like, well, I've not really carved out a niche of helping people do first time homebuyer stuff and down payment assistance. And I went and looked back at it, and it was actually the result of previous clients and their kids and their kids. There's all of a sudden this first time homebuyer activity because of what's 25 years in the mortgage space. God, 21 years as a broker owner, a little more. And it's becoming generational,
Mhm.
which is really, really interesting to me. But one of the things I started to analyze is that the people that provide that intrinsic reward, they're really grateful. You get to see somebody accomplishing something they didn't think was going to be possible. They are an active, helpful participant in the process. I need these documents. Okay, I'll get them to you. Give me 5 minutes. That kind of thing. And it's never a question about why. It's never incomplete documentation. It's never dragging of the feet. It makes the process so much easier on everybody involved, my team, the real estate agents, the title company, the homeowners insurance company, on and on and on, that we really weren't looking at it in the right light. These are not the clients that are causing any frustration. These are not the clients that aren't getting us what we need in its entirety when we ask for it. Those kinds of things. So it's really, really interesting to me to see this piece of the puzzle, to kind of make the 2 + 2 = 4 and realize that what I've been talking about for years, and granted, this was, yesterdecade, but what I've been talking about for years when it comes to really be careful about how you want to build your repeat and referral business. Because if I had my druthers, it would be people buying $1 million homes, putting 20% down with 780 credit scores, on and on and on. And I don't think that's the case. The transactions are more lucrative, but these people who provide that intrinsic reward are also the least amount of brain damage that we come across. They want to be an active participant in the process because they want what you want.
Yeah.
And if they know, they trust that you're going to help them achieve this goal, they're going to do everything they can to help you do it.
That's right.
Which is amazing to me. So yeah, it took a long time for me to really analyze the work, and it took that trigger of doing all these down payment assistance loans to really figure it out, to really even step back and go do the analysis.
Mhm.
And yeah, they've been some of the very best, most pleasant, most pleasurable clients to work with. And God, it really took somebody smacking me on the head with a hammer to go and look at it.
I wish I heard that more. But the truth is a lot of people still can't see it because they think that it's just harder. But this isn't. I'm not sure if it will always be, but
Mm.
it has been and still an untapped market because you have so many people who could qualify if someone would just roll up their sleeves and go to
Dig
work.
in. Yep.
You know, so that's that piece that we've been doing for years. Just in fact, that's what I would say to clients. Listen, my sleeves are already rolled up. I just need for you to roll yours up. This is where we are. I would I have to be honest and say that I've seen both sides. Those that come in that they do get everything, but then there are those that come in and they still feel entitled sometimes because they have heard the wrong side. Meaning, they got someone in their ear that says, they don't need that. I've never had an underwriter ask for that, and I've had to get on the phone sometimes with parents or with friends, or have a hard conversation sometimes with realtors that, what, you've probably never heard of anyone asking for this because you've never had someone in this position. Or to the people, you've not been in this position, but yours is different. Everyone comes in with a story. Everyone's situation is different. And your situation, your circumstances, this is what it requires. You can get to the table, but this is what you're going to have to do. So when this thing goes into underwriting, everyone is coming out and approved with conditions. These are your conditions. So your conditions don't match their conditions because your condition or your circumstance is different.
That's a really good way of saying it. And it's funny. I've been doing a lot of interviews recently with reporters that write for some of these mortgage magazines, mostly online financial type stuff.
Mhm.
And it seems like a lot of the answers I give are, it's hard to answer because every transaction is unique. I can't generalize an answer to that question. I can't give you a black and white answer because every situation is so unique, so different. Every client has their own story. But I do think it's really funny that you brought up that exact terminology, because I do long for a day where everybody understood and recognized that getting approved for a home loan is you and I or DC or whoever you have in your corner, your real estate agent, on and on, telling a story.
Yes.
And everybody's story is different, but that's what we used to do anyway. I don't really
Yep.
have my hands in, the ins and outs of what goes on between, LOA and processing and underwriting these days. But we used to consider a file going to an underwriter us telling a story.
Yep.
What has happened to them in the past in some cases, why the job is new, why they quit their job, why they need to buy this house, why they need a second FHA loan or VA loan. Those are always very unique. Those are stories that have to be told. And we used to actually consider a file going into underwriting as us telling a story about why these people need this money. And I don't know that does it just not feel that way anymore? Or is that not really what we're doing? Or am I just out of touch? Because that possibility exists.
No, you're not out of touch at all. Unfortunately, the industry has changed and we have a lot of new people in the industry. And because things are so easy, they know nothing about what we know, the terms we know as common sense underwriting. They don't know what that means. And that's common sense underwriting is someone who just, it's not just about looking at this piece and looking at that piece, but it's looking at the full picture and knowing, well, this happened. Yes, it's true. This is what happened, but this happened because of this. And that's what qualifies this as an extenuating circumstance. It was out of their control. And that's where that common sense underwriting, we call it manual approval today, but even with manual approval, you still have to have an underwriter that uses that. I don't want to say they don't have common sense, but that uses, that common sense underwriting, you know, that we know of.
It seems like a thing of the past. It does, or at least it seems like it's farther and fewer.
Yeah. But people are more than a number. And you have to be able to really look at that. And that's why now all of that, the majority of that comes back on us now to really fight for that story. And if one lender is not willing to hear it, then knowing which lender will, or going to another lender who can. And so that's what makes us so powerful as brokers, that we actually can look at, once you've gone through individuals that kind of had similar stories, you know what lender not to send it to. And that's what makes it powerful when someone is dealing with an actual true mortgage broker, instead of just going to a retail lender that's going to send you here. And if you can't get approved here, you're getting turned down.
I think that's also a valuable piece of the puzzle when it comes to the other people you mentioned in a client's ear. I think was the term you actually used. And this is everybody, whether it's, Uncle Frank or your real estate agent, whatever the case may be, they don't see the fires that we put out on the regular. In fact, it was really funny. We had a client recently close. He had no idea what a train wreck had been caused by the listing agent, by the sellers who had a trust that didn't understand what authority they had and what trustees needed to be doing in order to sell this property. A title company that went basically dark. A week of asking for things that we need, no response, on and on. But that experience, especially when we're talking about the kind of volume that loan originators do that have been doing this for a significant period of time, not that you really hear about a new loan originator anymore, in comparison to the average real estate agent, because obviously the figures are very, very different. There are a lot more of them, 10 or 20x, to be perfectly honest for all of you. I think there are more than 1 million members of the realtor organization, and not all real estate agents are members. And there are now less than 100,000 federally licensed mortgage agents, mortgage originators. So a very big difference there. There's not a drop in the number. There's not a 90% drop in the number of people that want to borrow money. So we see a lot of things. And you and I saw something that created a fire that we had to put out a week ago, a month ago, a quarter ago. And it might be something that Uncle Frank has never seen. And it might be something that the real estate agent hasn't seen for 5 years. Right. Those kinds of things. So, yeah, I do think that there is a lot of importance in not only understanding that your loan originator has a far greater working knowledge of putting out those fires, what is going to be necessary, what isn't, what investor is going to work, what isn't, those kinds of things. It's really, really difficult to advance your process if what you're dealing with is a bunch of outside noise impacting what you think versus what your loan originator knows. I think that that's really, really big. And Tara, I love Tara. Tara says people are more than a number, and hell yeah. Well, if you're working in that cubicle farm loan mortgage company, maybe you've seen ads for them during the Super Bowl. I'm not gonna say any names. And of course, that one I really love because the consumer seems completely blind to where do you think the money for running Super Bowl ads is coming from? That's expensive stuff right there. And I will say I've never seen DC run a Super Bowl ad.
No, sir.
All right. But yeah, that's a big piece of the puzzle. And yeah, Ken, also make it make sense.
Yes.
We live in a pretty wild world these days, having a hard time making sense of a lot of things. But yeah, this is one piece of that puzzle that should absolutely make sense. And yeah, if you're in the consumer base, and I know our audience here really isn't, it's a lot of loan originators, it's a lot of real estate agents, that kind of thing, even insurance people and financial planners, that kind of thing. But if you happen to be in that consumer audience and you're of the mindset that obviously DC and I and his audience here are commenting on, consider yourself lucky if you found somebody like DC that will really roll their sleeves up, as he put it, and dig in and help you guys accomplish what you want to accomplish. And I promise you, there are a lot of us out there.
Yes.
There are a lot of us out there. And I mean, DC and I come across each other face to face, despite the 2,000-mile distance from time to time, different conference work, those kinds of things. When we're there, it's hundreds or thousands of people that will roll their sleeves up.
Yes.
And they're all there trying to figure out how to do that better, how to take better care of their clients, those kinds of things. Oh, here's a good one. Yeah. Can you always tell? That's a tough one. I don't know. Can you always tell who cares about you rather than someone who's in it for the transaction? I don't know.
It's a challenge.
It's a challenge.
It's a challenge. I would say go after the track record, and that's what makes, word of mouth so important, which is why we try to let people know that we really care about your well-being, that it's not just about getting you to the closing table, but after you've closed, we care how you live afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
So you have to make the payment. And
well, that's true. And you got to worry about your taxes and your escrows. And yeah,
So it's not
Absolutely.
about getting you approved, because some people are like, yeah, well, they got me approved. Okay, but are you paying more for the home than you should? Well, what do you mean? It's I'm getting it at this price, yes, but the rate that you're getting, that's going to be a higher monthly payment. Well, who's the company that you were approved by? Just because you told me the company, I already know that we're going to be anywhere from 0.375 to a half percent lower than them, and that's going to be huge for you when it comes down to your payment and the amount of money that you're able to save.
Yeah, it's funny because I have a very similar mentality about that. Not, I have a ton of colleagues, even in my market, that I consider the worthy competitor. I've had a bunch of them on the show. I don't think that there's, a scarcity mindset going on there by any stretch. But a really good example, and this one always cracks me up, is somebody had posted in a local Facebook group that they were looking for a good mortgage person. I don't know exactly how they worded it. I'm sure they didn't use the term originator. And a bunch of people start throwing their hands up, pick me, pick me, pick me. Right. And you see that all the time.
Yes.
So and it cracks me up. And I actually went and looked through and I wanted to see if there was anybody in there that had commented about that worthy competitor or if the worthy competitor had made a comment so that I could promote them. Yeah. Michelle, and she knows who she is. She's in my market. She's been on the show even recently. Absolutely the worthy competitor. If she commented or somebody commented using her name, I would say, absolutely, Michelle's a dreamboat. Work with her. I didn't see any of that, so I went and made a comment saying, hey, just a couple of tips. Federal mortgage license numbers are issued chronologically. So in theory, again, in theory, there are exceptions to the rule. The lower their NMLS number, the more experience they have. And that if you really want to know, go read what other people say about them. Go to Google, go to Zillow, go to LinkedIn, go to the BBB, whatever the case may be, because other consumers are happy to share their experience.
That's right.
And yeah, what I usually see is, a lot of people that are in it for the transaction. No question.
We just had someone contact us last week, and I'm going to read out what the George said. It makes a difference when you have people fighting for you that care about what they do. That's actually how we got a referral last week. We had someone that was looking for a DSCR loan, and she has all of her stuff together. She has the money, she has the bank statements and everything. And so I'm having a brief conversation with her, going through everything. And she says, well, and I asked, how did you find us? I like to ask people that. And she says, well, I was just searching and I was looking and I was reading what people said about you. And so as we were going through the numbers and I was presenting the options to her, it's okay, so this is what you can do here. This is where you can go here. This is what you can. She's like, you know what? I trust you. So, all of these, the payments line up as far as, what I'm making on this will cover the payments on all of these. But as far as the best structure for me, I'm going to trust you on that. And so that piece really, really matters. And what people say about you, that matters. And
it matters.
Yeah. And that's
why
we work hard.
But that's a direct result of how you actually care about people. This one I love. Damon, thank you. This is such a phenomenal comment. And I talk about it at the end of every show, but one of the books that I've got, sales tool or mindset tools for sales, two of the four things I talk about in depth that are very, very important are authenticity and transparency. And for those of you that know DC, you are certainly getting that. A lot of the time I joke, maybe not completely, about the fact that he and I are just too old for bullshit. We don't have time to be anything but authentic and transparent. And that's a really, really big piece of the puzzle. Damon nailed it spot on. And if you guys know DC, you know that he is authentically DC. And it's an important piece of the puzzle, no question. There's a good one. DC and his company truly care. Oh, and Tara, thank you. Yeah, we will absolutely. She knows we're running short on time, or that we're going to run over time. Yeah, DC, how do people get a hold of you? That's a really good piece of it. Yeah, and I promise, if you guys search out "We Get Loans Approved," you're gonna find him. In fact, that might even be your website, isn't it?
It is.
WeGetLoansApproved.com.
It
Okay.
is. And
And I think it's your email server too, right?
it is. It is. So we've actually shifted over now and rebranded. So we're still Mr. Mortgage, but we're doing business as We Get Loans Approved. And so
Okay.
we wanted to actually, people to know us by what we do. We get loans approved.
Yeah, and it's just a direct result. All of you listening, watching, listening, whatever, know that guys like DC are out there. And it doesn't matter if you're here in Colorado or there in South Carolina or in New York or Washington or Florida or Arizona. There are people out there. He and I know a ton of them. In fact, you and I could probably check off somebody we know, if not more than one, in every state of the union.
Yes.
Where there is somebody that will roll up their sleeves and do the work. And yeah, here we are running over time as usual when we have you on the show.
We are.
And we didn't even get through all the things I wanted to talk about.
Yeah.
Although credit where credit's due, a lot of that is your audience and the support that you have from the people around you that know that you are that guy. So yeah, Tara, Joyce, Damon, all of you, Ken, thank you, Apostle and Crystal, yeah, all of you guys who stepped up to support DC. Thank you so much. Oh, and there, Tara actually put it in there. Yeah, WeGetLoansApproved.com. And now, Tara, if you want to put in there DC's phone number, then yeah, we'll put that on the screen as well. And yeah, it's and Damon, we will absolutely. DC's been on the show a good half dozen times. And yeah, before we go too far down the road, we're gonna get him on another episode, I promise. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Other than that, what do you want to say in closing, DC? This is your show, man.
Okay, so before I say that, I want to say what I forgot to say in the beginning. So you're at season 9. Is it episode 27?
I think that's right. Yeah.
Congratulations on that.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Sir. Yeah, we've done a lot of these.
Yeah. So congratulations on that. That's
thank you.
I would just really feel like I'm preaching now. Begin my close with this. It's getting approved for a mortgage requires more than just you wanting it or you needing a home. There are certain things that have to go in play, and you have to be willing to become a part of it. And it may be stressful for you because it may require much of you. But my favorite book says something like this: to whom much is given, much is required. And so whatever it is that's required of you, that just may be your much, but you can't get much unless you give it. So, you got to give it to receive it. And then also, whatever takes place, regardless of how frustrated you are, always remain thankful and grateful that you're even in the position to get it. Just go after it. Anything that's worth having is worth fighting for, and you have to be willing to fight for it. You got to be willing to fight for it just as hard as we're willing to fight for it for you. And so when I think of people like me and people like Adam and all of those that are out there that are fighting for people to help them get approved and get in a place so that you can change your life forever, you got to stay grateful, because we are grateful behind the scenes. You may not be able to see it because we're telling you what you need to do, but we're grateful to be in a position, and we smile when you get what it is that we know you deserve, and that's to own a piece of America.
And God, I know we're way over time here. Jen will have my throat over it, but I really want everybody to understand that it's so much bigger for us than seeing somebody get into a home. And it's so much, and this is so true, owning a home is such a big step, a leap, a springboard to a whole new level of financial freedom and fiscal health, that it is such a long-term undertaking for us to watch people succeed in that way that, yeah, I'm not even sure I can really verbalize it. I can almost do it from a standpoint of what it's done for me from the time I bought my first home and what that home enabled me to do and what the next home enabled me to do, so on and so forth. But yeah, it's just, I think it's bigger than we can really verbalize, is the fact of the matter. All right. Thank you, DC. Nothing but love. And certainly with your audience, all of you that participated, thank you so much. This has been amazing. Yeah, you guys are phenomenal. DC is lucky to have you in his corner and vice versa. I'll do our summation real quick. We do live episodes of How I Met Your Mortgage every Monday at 9:30 Pacific, 12:30 Eastern. You can tune in live on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. The podcast goes up 48 hours later on Amazon, Apple, and Spotify. And for all the things JTT, go check out justthetipscoaching.com, previous episodes, our weekly video blog, copies of the books I've got on not this subject. This has been really deep, emotional, feel-good kind of shit that DC and I were able to do today, which has put a big smile on my face. You're going to carry me through the rest of the week, brother. But yeah, we do an annual sales conference, all the things. If you want to go check out justthetipscoaching.com, you'll find that jazz. And yeah, other than that, thank you. And thank all of you that are in DC Circle for making this so amazing.
Yes, thank you all. Blessings upon you all.
Indeed. Blessings upon you all. DC, don't run off. I'm going to run the extra, a few more minutes of your time. And for the rest of you watching or listening live or in syndication, thank you for tuning in. And to everybody in your audience, you guys have been amazing. The support, the love, I'm feeling it. I don't know where you guys are all over the country. I'm assuming some of you in DC's part of the world. And yeah, I mean, I got goose pimples from it, literally. So yeah, we'll see you guys next week with another episode of How I Met Your Mortgage.
Blessings.